1960s, Japan. To the outside world, this was a time of rapid modernization. Tokyo towered, trains flew across land, and the scars of war were beginning to fade. But the further you got from the cities, the less any of that even mattered. Out in the countryside, in small towns tucked between rice fields, cedar forests, and narrow roads, the world moved at its own pace. Change came slowly, and when it did, it was treated like a stranger who knocked on the wrong door. These were places held together by tradition, the kind that didn't just guide you, but defined you. A daughter wasn't raised for herself. She was raised to lead. A wife wasn't expected to be happy. She was expected to endure. The adults carried their own trauma from within. The children inherited it without even understanding why. Silence was safety. And it was in that silence where families folded in on themselves. But before we can even talk about the rituals, gods, or even monsters, we need to first really understand the world she was born into. In villages like Ebisugaoka, marriage wasn't about love, it was about obligation. In fact, a daughter's wedding could very well mean her last few moments she spends with her family, friends, and in some cases, even herself. She didn't just leave, she joined her husband's house, took on his family's expectations, and whatever she wanted just became noise. Mental illness at the time didn't have a name. You were either strong or you were troubled, which meant you were hidden. And the quieter you were, the more well-behaved you became, the easier it was for everyone else. But not every girl could stay quiet.
I will prove that I am worth this gift you have given me.
Hinako Shimizu was born into a world that had already decided who she should become. A daughter, a bride, a sacrifice. But what happens when the person everyone expects you to become simply isn't you? The horror here doesn't start with the usual monsters. It starts with expectations and ends with transformation. In Ebisugaoka, the seasons used to pass without incident. Quiet roads, old homes, a village completely content with being forgotten. But when the red flowers came, everything began to rot. They say when the lilies bloom, death follows. But death was already here. It just didn't look like a body. It looked like tradition, like family, like marriage. So what does it mean? What does it mean to be chosen? And what does it cost to choose yourself? Welcome back to Scared Yet, and tonight, we're diving deep into the world of Silent Hill F, a terrifying new chapter in the franchise set not so much in the foggy streets of Silent Hill, but rather the silent corners of 1960s Japan. We'll walk through the full story, explore the psychological and cultural layers beneath it, and yes, face every monster this game has waiting for us in the dark. but we'll save the creature feature for much later on. Trust me, it's worth it. So, grab a blanket and get comfortable because it's about to get really deep. Hinako Shimizu is a high school girl living in a home where love and fear were too close together. Her father, Kanta, wasn't violent every night, but when he was, it filled the entire house. Broken dishes, yelling, apologies that didn't lead up to anything. Her mother, Kimi, survived this by shrinking herself, extremely polite, every emotion hidden, a woman literally shaped by endurance.
I know that you think that I am too weak, that I smooth things over and never stand up to your father.
No,
Your father can be ill-tempered sometimes, I know. But really, he's just shy and acting strong in front of his daughters.
And her older sister, Junko, married and gone. The ideal bride, Hinako's role model, and the perfect example of what she's expected to become.
Junko, did something happen? Just reminiscing a little about, when we were kids. You always looked out for me.
Inside her journal, Hinako writes about feeling like a bird in a cage, one raised not to fly, but to be given away. At school, she blended in, not bullied, not even disliked, just unnoticed, except by her friends.
Finally, I was able to make a good friend.
Outside of home, Hinako had 3 people who made her world feel a little less suffocating: Shu, Rinko, and Sakuko. But the game shows us something more personal. Not just who they were, but how Hinako saw them in her journal. Shu, her closest childhood friend, they call each other partners, and Shu is literally the closest thing she has to a safe place. Shu tries to protect her, but forgets to actually listen. Even the red capsules he gives her, the ones that help the headaches, come with that same quiet pressure to trust him, even when something feels off. Rinko, on the surface, is the perfect student. Needs handwriting, perfect grades, polite voice. But in Hinako's journal, Rinko reads like someone constantly chasing perfection. Rinko smiles like she's afraid someone will see through her. Hinako likes her, but she also notices Rinko's jealousy, especially when it comes to Shu. That insecurity eventually becomes something physical, something that'll take form later on, literally. Then there's Sakuko, the spiritual one. Her family runs the local shrine, and she talks about curses the way other girls talk about fashion. Sakuko is the only friend who feels entirely honest, even when her honesty sounds a bit unhinged. She sees the spider lilies for what they are long before anyone else does, not as superstition, but a warning. To the outside world, they're just classmates, but through Hinako's journal, it's clear. These 3 are the only people she trusts enough to think about when she's alone. And that makes what happens next hit even harder. One day, after an argument at home, Hinako meets with her friends near the general store. Shu offers her another capsule. She takes it. Then the fog came. Red spider lilies began to bloom in a way that wasn't natural. Now, as briefly mentioned before, in Japanese culture, red spider lilies, otherwise known as haganbana, symbolize death, separation, and a final goodbye. They're planted by graves. They bloom along the path to the afterlife. Sakuko is the first to go. Her body is overtaken by pores of these vines and crimson petals. The town becomes overrun. Hinako runs. She fights. She survives. But the world she was just in has changed. Each time Hinako blacks out, she wakes up somewhere new, a completely different world steeped in incense and shadows, a place they call the Dark Shrine. And waiting for her was the man in the fox mask. Fox spirits, also known as kitsune, in Japanese folklore, can be protectors or deceivers. They wear human faces and they take brides. Their weddings are beautiful and also tragic, a supernatural event called Kitsune no Yomeri, the fox's wedding, where illusion blends with destiny. Fox Mask never forced himself onto Hinako. He didn't scream, he didn't threaten, he spoke gently, softly in fact. He called her things that Hinako wasn't used to hearing. Special, chosen, promised she would be loved if she just let go.
However, this door denies all but the select few who may tread sacred ground.
Am I allowed inside?
Why, of course. Today you are most welcome.
In the Dark Shrine, Hinako begins to undergo rituals, painful, symbolic, and irreversible. Every time she returns, she's less of herself and more of what he wants her to be. And the doll saw everything.
Here it all begins.
Throughout the story, a small porcelain doll appears again and again in places Hinako travels through. And it's not for nothing, too. This doll is the first thing the game shows us. A simple toy Hinako carried throughout her childhood. Something familiar. Something safe. Long before the rituals, the doll was part of her world. But once the town began to rot, the doll starts appearing in places it shouldn't. Doorways, stairwells, distant corners, sometimes directly in Hanako's path, just watching. Warning her with short messages and hints about what's waiting ahead. The game never explains how the doll is doing this, or whether it's truly alive, but it's consistently tied to Hinako's emotional breaking points, showing up right before or after major shifts in her identity. Some interpret it as a manifestation of her instincts, her hesitation, or the last part of her resisting what's happening. Whether that's literal or symbolic doesn't matter. What does matter is that the doll is always there when Hinako is about to change. Almost like it's the only piece of her childhood that refuses to let go.
Hinako.
Are you okay? Talk to me! Oh, thank goodness. Well, you never have been one to go down without a fight.
When Hinako wakes up, the world she was born into becomes more silent. The fog hasn't just swallowed the town, it's reshaped it. The familiar paths she once walked are warped, overgrown. Rinko and Shu reappear, confused, scattered but alive. The three of them try to make sense of what's happening, but no matter where they run, the mist keeps following. With the bridge destroyed, they decide to escape through the mountains, a secret path hidden behind Shu's house. But the further they go, the more Hinako starts to slip. She doesn't just fall asleep, she falls deeper, back into the dark shrine, the place that seems to grow with her suffering. And always there to greet her is the man in the fox mask, composed, calm, collected. He doesn't force anything, he simply suggests. He tells her she must let go of her past, her friends, her childhood. He says, to survive, you must change. The ritual begins. Her right arm is severed, replaced with a flowing fox-like limb. The sound is quiet, not a scream, but breath caught in her throat. Hinako doesn't cry, she doesn't run, she agrees. And in that very moment, something irreversible happens. The girl who firmly believed in herself slowly starts to vanish. She's branded, a mark of ownership. Her face is replaced. The others can't see what's changed in her, but we can. We were there, every painful moment. When she wakes again, she's quiet, colder. Her movements are heavier now. Her voice is distant. Something has followed her back. The group splits during their mountain escape, and Hinako is alone again. She returns home. It's dark.
Shu, Rinko.
Her mother calls.
Hinako?
Mom.
Please come home. Dinner's ready for you.
Her sister Junko appears, urging her to make a decision. Home isn't safe. Home is where it all started. And now it's empty, only filled with memories that she wishes to forget. The weight of tradition, of expectation, of being sold off like property to save her father's pride. It's here where her two selves finally meet. This is what Fox Mask has been shaping her into. A perfect bride, the obedient vessel. She's beautiful, controlled, hollow. When Hanako sees the Shiromuku for the first time, she already knows what it is. Not a monster, but the role she's been trained for. The white wedding kimono, the missing face, the perfect posture. This thing looks at her the way adults did her entire life. Like she's supposed to step into something she never agreed to. And now, it's ready to destroy everything Hinako used to be. Silent Hill F makes one very thing clear. Becoming someone else is its own kind of fear. And on some level, a feeling that hits closer to home than most of us would want to admit. Alright, before we jump into the final stretch of Hinako's story, we need to take a quick detour because Silent Hill F does something interesting with its monsters. Think of it as a little interlude, a breather, where we're not running, not fighting, just looking. Here's the thing most people miss. The monsters in this game come in pairs. You meet one version in a fog-filled village, the world Hinako grew up in, and then later you meet its counterpart in the dark shrine. Fogtown shows the monsters as it exists in reality. The shrine shows what that same fear looks like once it's soaked in tradition. Same idea, different mask. So in this section, we're not just breaking down the enemy type, we're talking about what they mean in the village, in the shrine, and inside Hinako herself. These are the first real monsters you meet, the Kashimashi, grotesque, practically naked doll women with busted joints and that weird jolting movement like they're puppets hanging from a string. In her journal, Hinako writes, "A monster made of lumps, of flesh stitched together. It smiles when it sees me, covered in wounds. Maybe it wants to hurt me the same way it was hurt." The game calls them Kashimashi, a name drawn from a saying in Japanese. When three women gather, the noise becomes unbearable. These are women reduced to nothing else but unpleasant noise, emotion, and excess. Society labels them as too much, and so they became monsters. They just throw themselves at you over and over, like the world's trying to make you hate them as much as it already does. The Ayakakashi look like scarecrows that forgot they were supposed to only scare away birds. not kids. They freeze when you're looking and creep toward you when you turn away. Their name mixes Ayakakashi, drowned spirits, with Kakashi, scarecrow, half haunting, half warning. Hinako writes, a monster pretending to be a scarecrow. From far away, it looks like a crucified corpse. Honestly, it scares kids more than crows. These things feel like childhood fear, being watched, judged, and misunderstood. They're not angry, they're waiting. And the moment you look away, they remind you they were always closer than you thought. Then there's Ara-abare, a giant chunk of angry meat wielding a bigger blade than its brain. Ara can mean oh my or rough, and abare means to rage or to go wild. So the name literally screams wild rampage. Fitting. Hinako writes, a giant repulsive lump of flesh filled with anger. It howls and swings its knife blindly. It's like an animal. No, worse. The drum monster is the same anger, but with purpose. Instead of flailing, it beats itself like a war drum. Each strike a demand for silence, order, and obedience. Together, these monsters are what violence looks like in a place where authority is loud enough to drown out everyone else, much like how Hinako views her father. The crawlers. The crawlers come in two forms. The Irohihi in the village and the Kamugara in the shrine. Both move on all fours, both feel uncomfortably human. The Irohihi is the obvious one. Glowing tendrils, grabby hands, a creature that moves with the kind of sleazy confidence you learn to avoid, even as a kid. Hinako writes, a monster on all fours, greedy eyes, greasy palms, acts like it knows me, never bothers with guys. Typical. The Kamugara is the opposite, faceless, chained, submissive. A creature that followed every rule, every tradition, until it had no identity left. Put together, they're two sides of the same pressure girls grow up with. Unwanted attention and unwanted obedience. Then there are the creatures with too many faces. The Corruptor in the village and the Oi-omoi in the shrine. They're not separate monsters. They're two stages of the same idea. The Corruptor is what Hinako hears from adults, a wet mass of faces vomiting filth, making sounds that feel like gossip turned rancid. The Oi-omoi are the child version, laughing, screaming, emotional, and overwhelming. Both can stun Hinako just by existing near her. Her journal reads, "A mass of faces, none I know, but all seem to know me. These creatures are every voice Hinako has ever tried to tune out. Parents, neighbors, children, memories, expectations. They don't talk to her. They talk over her." The birthing monster is one of the most disturbing creatures in the game. It limps toward you, carrying cysts and fleshy pods that burst open into new monsters. The shrine version is really just a cleaner or more pure version of itself, if that makes any sense. Hinako's journal reads, "Covered in skin cysts, dropping foul lumps that become monsters. Birth shouldn't look like this." Both variants represent cycles that keep going even when no one wants them to. Trauma passed down, expectations repeated, pain inherited. The Harai Katashiro may resemble the Kashimashi in some ways, but they are very different. The Kashimashi are chaotic, whereas the Katashiro feel manufactured. These monsters look like dolls designed for shrine rituals. Masks for faces, feet sharpened into blades, cloth that never wrinkles. In real rituals, Katashiro dolls absorb impurities. Silent Hill F perverts that idea. Hinako's journal reads, "Sharp blades for legs. Was it made this way to stop it from escaping? Or was it born broken?" That line says everything. The Katashiro are what happens when ritual becomes an obligation instead of a blessing. When tradition stops being guidance and becomes control. These monsters aren't emotional like the Kashimashi. They don't represent gossip or scrutiny. They represent something colder. The expectation that a girl will purify herself, correct herself, shorten herself, fold herself into whatever shape her family or culture needs. If the Kashimashi are the shame of being too much, then the Katashiro are the punishment for not being enough, made for a purpose they never chose, just like Hinako was supposed to be. Hinako reaches the shrine, she runs into something that sounds like Sakuko. The same voice, the same tone, but dressed like Himiko. Himiko is a shrine maiden in Shinto tradition, someone who assists with rituals, purifications, and communicating with the spiritual world. Historically, they were young women expected to be pure, obedient, and devoted to their duties. So the moment Hinako sees the creature wearing Himiko's outfit, the symbolism hits immediately. Sakuko always believed in the old stories, the rituals, the warnings. She wasn't lying. She genuinely trusted the spiritual world more than the real one. Hinako writes, "A Miko with Sakuko's voice, a mace, a chain, and a bell. Is it her? Or something wearing her face?" It's the version of Sakuko Hinako feared she'd become. Devoted, blind, and used. The Rinko-like monster is tall, veiled in hair, wielding a whip and surrounded by puppets. Hinako's journal reads, "A high priest with Rinko's voice, burning jealousy, puppets babbling around her. It has to be her." When Hinako hears Rinko's voice inside the shrine, the figure she faces feels familiar, but it's not Rinko. It's the version of her that Hinako picked up on in quiet moments. Rinko was the friend who did everything the right way, out of watching what everyone else did and matching it. Hinako writes about that without judging her. The neat handwriting, the careful way she spoke, the smile that felt a little rehearsed. That's why the monster is surrounded by puppets. They're the behaviors Rinko copied to stay relevant with everyone else around her. Tiny reminders of how she thought she was supposed to act. The Rinko-like entity represents imitation. A girl who paid so much attention to what she should be that she never let herself be anything else.
But I'm very happy that in the end, we finally got to tell each other how we truly feel.
And that's the lineup. Every monster in Silent Hill F. Well, aside from what Hinako faces towards the end. Whether it shows up in the fog or in the shrine, it really is just the same fear wearing a different mask. Reality on one side, tradition on the other. Alright, break's over. Let's get back to Hinako, because things are about to get a lot more personal.
What are you?
By the time Hinako reaches the end of her journey, the town has changed its tune, and for Hinako, it's all one place now. She collapses again, and the game pulls her back into the dark shrine, a place her mind keeps returning to whenever everything becomes too much. This time, there's no ceremony waiting for her, no altar, just the same narrow corridors, the same low lights, and that same feeling that she's walking deeper into herself. During her time in the shrine, Hinako ran into versions of Shu, Rinko, and Sakuko. Well, more like the last impressions she has of them, the way she remembers each one at their worst moment. Rinko's frustration, Sakuko's fear, Shu's constant insistence that he knows what's best for her. These encounters aren't boss fights. Some may feel like it, but they're actually more like interruptions. Things Hinako keeps trying to ignore until she can't anymore. Each confrontation ends the same way, with Hinako cutting them out of her path, almost like tearing a page out of her own journal, until none are left. When she finally reaches the center of the shrine, Hinako faces herself again.
Sakuko, Rinko, and Shu. You even took my parents.
And in this ending, Hinako may have beaten the version of herself that nearly consumed her, but she doesn't really win. After Shiramuko, Hinako is thrown into one last stretch of the nightmare, a long, empty path that shifts between the real world and the dark shrine.
I'll destroy it all!
She runs, she doesn't stop. And the only thing guiding her are the same red capsules she's been taking since the beginning, scattered ahead like someone dropped them one by one. The creatures she's been fighting up until this point no longer sound like monsters. They sound like people, voices calling out to her, confused, panic, asking her to slow down, even asking what's wrong. Voices, honestly, just trying to help. The game never says it directly, but it doesn't have to. This whole sequence is Hinako slipping out of what's left in her reality. She keeps running away until that reality catches up.
Uniko 2 to HQ. We've got 2 male victims here. Same female suspect as in the wedding massacre on Route 8. One victim is currently in cardiac arrest.
Kagura 1 to HQ. We haven't found the knife used by the suspect.
Police sirens, crowds, chaos. What we learn about this horrible truth: the rituals were not all supernatural. The red capsules warped Hinako's sense of reality. The massacre happened just outside the shrine, in the real world. The wedding was both symbolic and literal. Her final transformation was never completed. This is the default ending, the only one players can get on their first playthrough. It's the hardest to watch because it's the most grounded. In this version of the story that no one can avoid, Hinako is consumed by the very world that tried to shape her. But the game isn't finished. Not really. There's one last detail the game holds until the very end: the identity of the man behind the fox mask. And his name is Koroyuki Tsuniki. Koroyuki was never a spirit or a guardian. He was the unrecognized son of Hidetoshi Tsuniki, heir to a wealthy family, and Sashi Fujitori, a woman who was both his servant and his lover. Because Hidetoshi was already promised to another woman, Koroyuki was treated as an inconvenience, technically family, but not publicly acknowledged. Koroyuki and his mother lived alone in the village. Sachi tried raising him like the heir he wasn't allowed to be. Strict posture, strict manners, strict expectations. But Koroyuki was just a child. One day, while playing at the park, he was bitten by a fox. A young Hinako Shimizu helped him afterward, and Koroyuki became attached to her immediately. The bite led to a fever and strange behavior the doctors couldn't explain. Memory lapses, personality shifts, and symptoms they described as fox possessions. And for once, the superstition was right. Hyobi, the nine-tailed fox, took hold of him. His childhood crush, Hinako, twisted into something else, something obsessive. Soon after, Koroyuki's father, his father's wife, and their children all died under mysterious circumstances. Koroyuki and his mother left town, and with the legitimate heirs gone, the Tsunuki family was forced to recognize him. From that point on, Koroyuki shaped his entire life around one goal: becoming worthy of Hinako, a perfect match, a perfect husband, a perfect heir. Years later, as a polished, wealthy young man, he returned to Ebisugaoka and asked for Hinako's hand in marriage. Her parents agreed, not out of joy, but because of their death. In the dark shrine, Fox Mask isn't a deity guiding her. He's Koroyuki, shaped by a family that denied him, possessed by something that fed on his obsession, and convinced that Hinako was the destiny he had to fulfill. He pushes her to cut away everything that isn't his: her friends, her childhood, her sense of self. Piece by piece, he reshapes her into the bride he's been preparing for since the moment she helped him at the park. And once she becomes the Shiromuku, that version of Hinako carries out what he started, turning the girl he claimed to love into a reflection of himself. Every ending in the game branches out from this point on. They're not just different outcomes, they're different ways of breaking free from or falling into Koroyuki's influence. Let's walk through each one, not as good or bad endings, but as different directions her story can head toward, depending on what you carry, what you refuse, and what you leave behind.
Why are you protecting him? I swore that I'd keep you safe. Don't you trust me?
So we know what happens in the first ending, but in this one titled The Fox's Wedding, certain actions need to be completed before heading into the endgame territory. This includes never taking a red capsule, acquire and purify the sacred sword, complete the Crimson Water puzzle, and locate the hidden statue. In this ending, Hinako stops fighting against tradition. All the little choices you've made The rituals you've gone along with, the way you've treated the sword, the way you've handled the fox, they all line up behind one idea. Maybe it's easier to just become what someone else wants you to be. Hinako sides with the fox. She doesn't question the plan anymore. And by this time you reach the finale, Shu isn't her partner, he's in the way. The game doesn't frame this as a bad ending, but just a version of Hinako who chose acceptance over herself.
No. I'm scared. I'm so scared. Please don't. No, I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't want to be like my mother. I don't want to become my mother.
How dare you set foot here? How did filth like you creep in?
To unlock this ending, we need to acquire the sacred sword. Do not purify it, and never take a red capsule. The fox wets its tail, branches at the exact point where the player is allowed to commit to the fox's purification ritual. And what happens when Hinako finally stops letting other people tell her who she's supposed to be, including the fox. You still go through the shrine, you still carry the weight of what's happened, but Hinako does the one thing that she wasn't raised to do. She finally says no. Refusing the ritual doesn't give her a clean escape. It turns the fox into a full-on final boss. Shu fights beside her, but not as some destined soulmate. He's just there. A friend who chooses to stand with her instead of speaking over her for once. This ending isn't about surrender or devotion. It's Hinako picking the messy option, rejecting control, even if it means facing the thing that's been shaping her.
Why do we have to bleed? Just to begin seeing eye to eye.
Ebisugaoka in silence, otherwise known as the true ending. In order to unlock this, we need to finish at least 2 other endings, avoid taking any of the red capsules, purify the sacred sword, and leave Hinako's brooch at the hidden Jutsu shrine. Getting here means you've already seen other futures. The one where Hinako gives in, the one where she rebels, and the one where she loses herself completely. By the time you unlock this route, you kind of understand how fragile she is and how stubborn she can be. In this ending, she doesn't fully belong to the fox. She doesn't let the shrine or the Shiromuku version of herself take over. Instead, the game lets her do something quieter and rather more difficult. Live with everything that's happened. The town doesn't magically heal. The past doesn't get erased. What changes is Hinako herself. She walks away without becoming a god, a monster, or someone else's idea of a perfect bride. For once, the story isn't about who claims her. It's about her keeping what's left of herself and deciding what to do with it.
what to do or bother us. It's nice. Just the two of us. Yeah. Just the two of us. To decide where to go.
Why isn't there anyone in town?
Because of them. There's no doubt about it.
Them?
Yeah, the aliens. They've been eyeing Earth for a long time, waiting for the chance to snatch up humans and replace them with aliens.
This is the traditional non-canon Silent Hill joke ending. It serves more like an Easter egg than an extension of the story. To unlock this one, start a new game plus, step through the metal archway near the dumpster early in the game, and find 3 hidden posters and 1 very cursed document. Suddenly, anime filter, Shu being a creep, Rinko karate kicking him. It's stupid, it's funny, it's Silent Hill.
For dinner tonight, I'll make your favorite Hamburg steak.
Mother! I told you that's Junko's favorite!
Across all 5 endings, Silent Hill F doesn't change its world. It changes Hinako's relationship to it. And no matter which ending you reach, Hinako's fate always comes down to the same thing. The moment she finally chooses whether she'll keep becoming who others expect, or whether she'll break away from that path for good. Alright, scared ones, well, if you've made it this far in the video, then you most definitely and officially deserve to be part of the Scared Yet's inner circle. Not everyone gets to be a part of it, so do me a favor, like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment down below telling me which ending you got away with, or which one broke you the most. Until then, keep the lights low, the popcorn restocked, and I'll see you on the next deep dive.
What up?
SNIV, you got your poppers out again. Yeah.
Damn it. My fault, man.
It's alright.
Finally. I've been trying to reach you for like hours. Time zones are a nightmare here.
SNIV, where are you right now?
Oh, this? Yeah, I'm on vacation. I needed a break after that last video. I mean, do you have any idea what it does to a puppet's mental health?
I get it. Self-care. Right. So when are you going to be back?
I was actually going to tell you.
Get off the phone, you scrawny little bitch!
SNIV.
Whoa, buddy. Do you know who I am? You want to go?
Bro, what the fuck are you supposed to be?
Oh, it's on, bitch.
Alright. Well, back to work.